Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick info before we begin. In today's first story, there is mention of miscarriage, so if that is a topic that makes you uncomfortable, you might want to skip the first story. And also that in today's video, there are two stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Renee Elaine. I, 34 female, turned to my husband, 34 male, for support after some bad news. He pointed out a blemish on my face in response. Is this a big enough straw to break the camel's back? Throwaway account because he knows my username. We have been through a lot together. We met in college nearly 15 years ago. We're long distance for a little while after graduation, then we moved overseas together and back again. We now own a house, have some pets, are both gainfully employed, and have a wonderful time together. We're great together when times are good. We've been married for 7 years. The problem is that he is a really awful communicator while I am very open with how I'm feeling. I wear my heart on my sleeve while he could keep what he's feeling inside indefinitely. This has always been hard to reconcile, but our problems really started about 2 years ago when we started talking about the subject of having children. I had serious doubts about my capacity for motherhood, but he wanted to be a father. When I would talk to him about my reservations or fears, he would usually just shut down and say, "Let's not have kids then." He would never be on board for a deep discussion. I decided my fears weren't enough to be a deal breaker, so we went ahead and started trying. We have had 3 miscarriages since then. The stress of first trying to conceive and then losing our pregnancies was immense. I turned to him countless times for support, and countless times I came away feeling like he was going through the motions, but there was nothing real behind them. I know it can be hard for some to grasp the pain of losing a pregnancy, but as my partner, I feel there was a serious lack of genuine sympathy when I was struggling and in pain. He would hug me, hold me, do everything that would make it look like he was by my side in this, but never seemed to really listen when I talked about it or converse about it with any depth. This year has been hard for me. It started out promising. I was pregnant again and I was up for a promotion at work. I lost the pregnancy in the middle of January, and even though all signs pointed to the promotion working out, the position was eliminated after I had gone through 3 rounds of interviews to get it. I found out the position was eliminated officially yesterday. When he got home from work, I asked him for a hug. Instead, he started examining the skin around my mouth. He said, "Do you have mouth herpes or something?" I have been breaking out in that area since the last miscarriage. It's a hormonal trouble spot for acne for me, and no matter what I do, nothing stops it right after a miscarriage. My hormones are just out of whack for a couple of months, so not only was I turned down for comfort after a long couple of months trying to get this promotion and finding out it wasn't going to happen, but he pointed out a flaw in my face that happens to be a lasting side effect of another devastating loss. At first, I was angry, demanded an apology, and gave him the cold shoulder after he gave me an insincere one. Then I let go of the anger and just felt so sad, just incredibly, hopelessly sad. I cried all night long. He finally came to me and said he was sorry in a sincere way, and he hugged me for a long time. But I couldn't talk to him. I just couldn't put myself in the position of telling him what I was going through and not really knowing he was there for me. After he left for work this morning, he called me and said he realizes that he needs to work on his communication and he's going to try harder. He also said he wants to take a trip for our 15-year dating anniversary later this year, something I have been talking about for almost a year now, but that he never seemed interested in until now. I am feeling like this is all just too little too late. I suggested marriage counseling about a year ago when I felt a major disconnect between us after our first 2 losses. He said he would go, but I never followed up and looked for a counselor. Now I feel like maybe it's just too late. I feel like my trust in him is shattered. Is this something we can fix in counseling? Will his communication ever improve? Can I get over these feelings of bitterness? OP, this is not an easy situation and not easy to give commentary on, of course, so I'm going to try to do my best. I understand that you are feeling alone and non-supported from your husband, and you have talked about it and he says he wants to improve. And because of this, I wouldn't throw away the marriage just yet. At least not until all shots have been fired, and counseling is the biggest one, I would say. I do think that you are absolutely right. This whole issue goes down to communicating, and his communication sucks, so he needs to work on it. But I don't think that means that he doesn't feel any pain or sympathy for you. I know I'm gonna do a light projection of me, but anytime that my kids or my wife are sick, I feel impotence. Why? Because I can't do anything for them. I can't take away their pain or their sickness and feel it for them so that they don't have to. And the fact that he's not talking about it doesn't mean he isn't suffering either. And just to be clear, I'm not saying this to excuse your husband. Yes, he has communication issues and yes, he needs to work on them. I'm just saying that because he doesn't talk about them doesn't mean that he doesn't care. So based on that, and to answer your questions, is this something that you guys can fix in counseling? If you do the work, I would think you could. Will his communication ever improve? Again, if you do the work or if he does the work, I think it can. And can you get over these feelings of bitterness? I would think you can, but that's up to you and the work that you both do together. And what do you guys think about this whole thing? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Nope Cakes says his communication can really actually improve if he's willing to put in the work to improve it. Your marriage needs professional counseling if it's going to survive. A marriage counselor is going to do their damnedest to help reopen the channels of communication that you've both lost over the years. To me, it doesn't sound like the lack of communication is entirely on his side, and you need to be prepared to accept that fact. When I Feel Like It says, I wouldn't change anything right at this moment. While I think that it's probably going to be time to seriously reevaluate your marriage very soon, it's generally not a good idea to make large decisions like this in the wake of misfortune. You're not feeling empathy for him. Empathy would be a way that he shows his love for you, so by extension, you're not feeling the love from him. Is that accurate? I think you should honestly explore for right now the question of where your love is together. Grieve your lost babies however you need to and focus inward on healing your life. As you do that, I think answers will surface about where your relationship is with your husband. If you don't feel connected to him, then you might not come back from this, but there's time to figure that out. I hate adding this, but in case it's in question, it's probably best not to try to get pregnant again anytime soon. A baby won't fill any gaps and magically heal you or your marriage. Let yourself recover before making decisions about that too. And Opie responds, pretty much accurate. He shows lust, he says I love you all the time, he jokes around with me and shows affection. But he can't do much more than hug me when I'm upset. He seems like he's incapable of actually talking about difficult topics. I will definitely not be getting pregnant anytime soon. Thanks, I'm surprised it took someone so long to mention it. Charlie Cat-esque, I assume Esquire, says, I usually jump to dump that mother effer already in these situations, but I think maybe this time counseling is the best course. He is grieving too, but obviously is out of touch with his emotions. My partner is very similar. I wear my feelings on the outside. I have to get him drunk to tell me anything. If the counseling doesn't work, then I would look at a breakup, but it sounds like he's tried, albeit eventually, and you have every right to be disappointed and angry with him. You also need to focus on you right now. Some grief therapy would be good. You have been through the ringer and you need support. Additional information from OP's comments. I called him and told him about the promotion not working out earlier in the day before he came home. He also knows that my hormones are causing my blemishes. Now, I know he's got a lot of stress to deal with at work, and I'm sure that's a factor in how he responds to me in difficult times, but he has said so many mean things during times when I needed his support the most. It's only after I call him out on these things and we have a discussion about them that he basically just hugs me and keeps his mouth shut. About my husband, his family is definitely more closed off in general, but I have no idea whether he faced criticism or punishment when vulnerable because he's never opened up to me about it. We have a great relationship otherwise though. We have sex close to every day. He says he loves me all the time. He is affectionate, romantic, hilarious, and just so much fun to be around. This one thing is killing us, and I hate that. Now, he does recognize that there's a problem. I hope he takes this all seriously. I guess the only way is to just go to therapy. Opie's edit. We talked last night and he said that he felt the need to lighten the mood or change the subject, which is why he said what he did when I asked for a hug. He said he didn't think about it as the huge letdown that it was for me when I had hope for 2 different promising developments in my life just 1 month earlier, and now both of those things have failed to work out. He said he doesn't like talking about what's going on at work because it makes him feel more anxious to even discuss it. He wants to keep his work life at work and his home life at home. Meanwhile, I cannot shut up to him about things that happen at work, so it's a really imbalanced conversation. I did mention sympathy fatigue last night when we talked, and he said that could have something to do with it. Yes, we've had a rough couple of years. After the last loss, I barely talked to him about it. I'm tired of grieving too. I think the subject of having kids is going to be a major focus of counseling for us. I can't go through with this yet another time when I don't even know if the end goal is something I really want. Alright, well, I think the community overall gave OP some pretty good advice, and OP gave us a lot of context. And on the thing about what she really wants, I absolutely agree with her. This is a conversation that I believe they should have had a long time ago, like before they got married. But like the saying goes, everybody's a general after the war. So if there's a moment to talk about it, it's now. Anyways, it's time that we move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ends. But of course, before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after the video. Now let's move on with the update. Thank you so much to everyone who commented on my original post earlier this year. First, I'd like to make clear that in my original post, I glossed over his positive attributes to best convey my frustration at the situation, so he comes off as a cold, uncaring jerk. That's not who he is at heart. And selfishly, it was validating to hear others agree with me that enough was enough. Anyway, we got into counseling not too long after that post and have been continuing every week ever since. We just had a session yesterday. Our counselor is wonderful. She really understands the situation and has identified the struggle my husband faces when confronted with an uncomfortable topic, like our losses, stress at work, the decision to have children or not, and more. I think what we've summarized in therapy is that he tries to lighten the mood in serious situations by making a joke or teasing me, albeit those situations I described in my previous post were definitely not funny. He can see how trying to change the subject or alter the mood isn't appropriate in these situations. We have also spent quite a long time discussing my husband's upbringing. His family isn't really big on communicating, and there are many problems that he and his siblings have had over the years, and continue to this day, that were never addressed and never resolved. In the session, he talked about how he felt his emotional needs were never really met growing up, but that he didn't realize it until now. It made me really sad for him. We had his parents over a few weeks ago, and as usual, the conversation remained really superficial and never delved into anything very substantial. I have tried to share with them about our life and our losses before, but there's never been any sign of interest from them in connecting with us in that way, even though his mother is one of the only people I know in my life who has suffered a loss as well. We spent the next week's session processing their visit, and unfortunately, my husband felt a lot of anger and frustration that he wasn't able to talk to them about the important stuff. However, in our relationship, things have completely transformed. We argue so much less, and he is completely present and there for me when I need his support. The topic of having children has come back up, and we are still figuring that out. But we can really talk about it and be open and honest with each other without fear and with respect and open arms for each other. He has repeatedly said that he's really happy we got into therapy and that he feels great about the state of our relationship. I'm almost happy we've gone through such hard times so that we were able to hit rock bottom and get to this wonderful place. So thank you to everyone for your kindness and generosity in following our journey. Alright, OP, well, I'm gonna call this a positive update. Sure, your in-laws suck, but at least you and your husband and your relationship, which is the most important thing right now, is in, how you say, a wonderful place. So congratulations on all the work done, OP, and hopefully things keep going great for you guys in the future. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. And on that note, let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Relavi. My 25 female boyfriend, 30 male, refuses to be my date at my cousin's wedding in December. We've been in a relationship for 2 months, dated for about 2 months before that, and have been friends for almost a year. My cousin, 30 male, is getting married in December in another state, about 6 hours away, and I'm very excited about his wedding because I'll get to see all of my out-of-state family and introduce them to the new guy. My brother, 24, will join with his girlfriend and my dad and stepmom will be there too. Boyfriend has met them and is very good friends with my brother, so it's not like boyfriend has any drama with my family that is making him not want to go. My boyfriend is digging his heels in the sand because he doesn't like weddings. He says the only reason he'll go to a wedding is if he's in the bridal party. Otherwise, he thinks they're pointless and stupid and won't go. I think his perspective is selfish and immature. I'm not asking him to contribute to a gift or even lodging. All I want is for my awesome boyfriend to be my date, and I don't feel like this is an unreasonable request. To those who detest weddings, what do you do when you're invited to one? What is the best way for me to handle this situation? Go solo to the wedding or keep trying to get him to come? Well, OP, in my opinion, you both have a valid point of view. You just need to reach a compromise. On one hand, you want him to be your date because you want him to meet your family and have fun at the party. Not necessarily the wedding, which you are excited about, but you want him there with you, which is absolutely valid. On the other hand, he doesn't want to go because he has something against weddings, which of course is also absolutely valid. So I think the question that you guys need to ask yourselves is, what is more important, the wedding or my relationship? And starting from that, you can find a common ground and come to a compromise. So basically what I'm saying, once again, is communication. Try to get out of the trenches and talk to your partner. And what do you guys think about this situation? Do you think the boyfriend's being an idiot or is he in the right? Do you think OP is pushing too much? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Riff says, I personally would not want to go to a wedding with someone I've only been in a relationship with for 2 months. I mean, I know you've been friends for a year, but I think for me personally, it's a bit too soon to be in all the pictures and stuff. I didn't start bringing my boyfriend to weddings of my family and friends until we were in a serious relationship that hit the 1-year mark. And OP responds, it's not the length of the relationship that is the problem here. I am going with him several states away for Christmas to spend the holidays with his family in his hometown. He's also met all of my parents and has been friends with my brother for as long as he's been friends with me. My mom is currently his realtor. His issue is that he hates weddings. Slurimk Butsek says, to be 100% honest, I probably signed with the boyfriend here. I wouldn't be comfortable enough to attend a big family event so soon like that. Would prefer more time to get to know everyone. And Starshine 1988 says, in my opinion, I think he's allowed to say no at this stage of your relationship without it being a deal breaker. I can see why you expect more from him though, and that's totally okay. I don't think it is selfish or immature of him not to want to travel in December in general. It tends to be a really busy time with family and work events, and you can really run yourself ragged with social obligations. Would he go with you if you'd been together for a year? For me, that would be a deal breaker. Additional information from OP's comments. I would not break up with him over this. Yeah, I'd prefer to have him there, but his distaste for weddings does not outweigh all of the positives of this relationship. And to be clear on this, to me, it's not the length of the relationship that's the problem. I'm going with him to his hometown for Christmas. I will try to explain to him better what it means to me to have him at this wedding, as well as try to understand better why he's so adamant about not going. I don't like it isn't a valid excuse for a 30-year-old. Alright, well the community was more focused on I wouldn't go if the relationship is so young, and OP gave some points to refute that. So let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. So my cousin's wedding was last night and my boyfriend did not go, but there is more to the story. A couple of weeks after my post, my boyfriend came home from work one day and said he had good news and bad news. The good news was that he would come to the wedding with me. The bad news was that his work was sending him out of the country for a project and that he'd be gone a month, missing my birthday in November. So his agreeing to the wedding was to soften the blow off the work trip. Fine with me. Unfortunately, his trip got extended and we got confirmation just before Thanksgiving that he wouldn't be back in time for the wedding, so I'd have to be dateless anyway. However, a couple of weeks ago while on the phone, with no prompting or prodding from me, he told me that he will definitely be my date to weddings in the future because even though he still thinks that weddings are dumb and pointless, he knows it's important to me, and he said that he cares about me enough that making that sacrifice is okay. And that's the point. The wedding was fun. It was great to see my family. It would have been more fun with my boyfriend there, but it's okay because now I know we will have plenty of opportunities in the future. Alright OP, well this is definitely a happy ending. He doesn't need to change his opinion about weddings, but he can endure a wedding for you, and that's the important part. And of course I'm sure that you would be able to forego something for him as well. So on that note, I'm gonna wish both of you the best in the future. Take care OP and thank you for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.